Welcome back to the Fight Business Podcast. Welcome back to the Fight Business Podcast. Today we have the voice of Hitman Fight League. Well, actually, the voice of UK Muay Thai at the moment, I think. He's everywhere on Instagram. Alex Mavor, thanks for coming on, and I'm looking forward to kind of chopping up a little bit with you about the weekend's antics and just general UK Muay Thai stuff. I think is the main kind of topics I want to focus on today. You've kind of been around a lot of the shows lately, so it'd be good to get your kind of take on what you're seeing and what you think is going to happen in the future. So yeah, thanks for coming on, mate.
No, appreciate the invite. I think I've only just got back to my regular sleeping pattern after Saturday. It was one of those nights where, like, the drive home, I was thinking this highlight, that highlight. Got into bed, was still buzzing off it. Craig Coakley's fight, I'm sure we're going to be speaking about that one a lot. I don't know if you want to lead with that one, but incredible night of Muay Thai. And look, Muay Thai is the reason why I've been popping up so much, pushing it, is I just love the sport of Muay Thai. It was my first love, the first combat sport I was ever into. Obviously, since then, I've done a lot of work in boxing, because there's a lot more opportunity, especially in the UK, for boxing promotions, commentating, presenting and stuff like that. But do not be mistaken, Muay Thai is my first love.
I was going to ask you, because I know that you do like the GBM shows and a load of other boxing stuff. I've been in the sport for 20 years now, like Muay Thai, and I still can't get my head around why this hasn't blown up yet, like properly. What do you think that is? And do you see a day where we are on par with like the MMA and boxing?
It's a really, really tricky question to answer. And obviously it's something that I've asked myself many times. Boxing, culturally, I guess, is one way to look at it. The history of British boxing going back over a century, we've got all of that. So all the gyms, like the big gyms in the UK, the boxing gyms, they have some kind of history that goes back a hell of a long time, which has built champions and then next generation of fighters. So Muay Thai just can't compete with that, because I think with Muay Thai, you kind of look at like the 80s maybe, when loads of Thais came over, particularly into the Northwest, where like Master Skens and all those big gyms popped up around then as well. So I think like culturally, historically, it's so hard to compete. So boxing's always going to have the edge there. And then I think it is just about the reason why the MMA has taken over so well is just like Dana White says it himself. He says like those holy moments, right? They've been so good, particularly the UFC, of getting that across on social media and just making it a brilliant product. Whereas Muay Thai, I think particularly in Thailand, it's different with one championship now, but it took a little bit longer to really get that going. I'd love to see Muay Thai on a similar vein. And I think we've got so many exciting young fighters who can like take that to the next level. Obviously, we've got yourself, we've got Liam, Andy, Badger, like all the fighters of the previous generation who are doing their stuff on the media side, promoting side. But I think we have got the fighters now, the younger fighters, who've got a bit of personality, they've got a bit of chat, and they can really fight. I'm hopeful. I'm not saying I'm completely confident, but I'm hopeful that we can take it to another level in the next 5 years.
Yeah, I agree with you. Like after watching Hitman Fight League on the weekend, you've got some young, and a lot of them are really young actually. And what I think what I built my career on was because I was young and doing such good things when I was young, and that's what people were really fascinated about. But I feel like nowadays it's getting a lot more common. It's like there's a lot more of them people around, 17-year-olds beating up adults and like just putting on masterclasses, unbeaten records. Like again, it's becoming quite a common thing with like your Ty Ganons, Finlay Smith, Fergus Smith. You got Ant Deary. They're all really young, and they're all like really putting on some good shows. And we'll get into Hitman Fight League. And I'd say actually talking about superstars, there was a couple that I think really stood out to me. And I've been saying this for so long. I think since I watched him fight his first Pro-Am fight on Hitman Fight League, I think he fought Louis, I forgot his last name, he's from Kiat Pontip Gym, Fergus Smith. Fergus Smith is is a superstar. And I said it from the first time I watched him fully with the like pro-am kind of set rules. And it's not just his fighting style. Like he's a great fighter, but the walkout, the mic, the holy shit moments, like you said, like the spinning kicks, the spinning elbows, and he's so funny. But he's actually a really good kid as well. He's a really nice kid as well. But yeah, that fight on the weekend, unbelievable. I was watching it going, the first 3 rounds, I was like, well, we'll get into the like kind of nitty gritty of the fight in a minute, but I thought there's no way these guys can keep up for 5 rounds like that. He come out like steam trained the Cambodian, but in such a like, weirdly, he did go a bit crazy at times, I'll say, but he's still very precise with his shots, very accurate. Weirdly, he's skinny frame, but possesses so much power when he hits people. I don't even think that's really talked about enough. Like he's dropped a lot of people now, or stopped a lot of people. So he obviously clearly possesses power at such a small weight as well, which is obviously not as common. So yeah, take me through that fight and kind of being ringside, watching him put on that kind of performance.
Yeah, you say Fergus Smith is a superstar. He's definitely a superstar, but he also knows it, which gives another element to it, because he does have that cocky side, which can endear a lot of people, but at the same time, you're going to get negative comments off the back of that. But I think the way that he plays that role, he's not stupid. He's an intelligent kid, like you say. He's a really nice guy as well. When you're speaking to him, but he knows that the more eyeballs he can get, the bigger purses he'll get, the more sponsorship and stuff like that. So I think it's he knows exactly what he's doing. The fight itself, well, this was against Radeth, the Cambodian, the second Cambodian to make the ring walk. And I think from the previous fight, which we'll be getting onto later, we kind of knew what we were going to get here, because Craig Coakley's opponent, Mecca, he really set the standard. So in this fight, I kid you not, Fergus could not have hit Radeth with a more diverse array of shots. There was everything, like you say, spinning wheel kicks, turning side kicks, punch combinations, elbows, everything, and he just kept coming forward. I don't know if you watched back the commentary, but in the second round, Fergus dropped Radeth heavily with a shot to the body, then a left hook upstairs. And Fergus, this is maybe a bit of the youthful exuberance or naivety. He went to his own corner up on the ropes and celebrating. And I was there because the referee just refused to start counting until he went to a neutral corner, which is the right thing to do. Had he gone straight to a neutral corner, I'm not sure he would have made the count. I can't really remember. I've not watched it back, that part, since. But it was close. I think he might have got up at 7, and it took a couple of seconds for Fergus to get to the neutral corner. So there was that moment. Fergus could have ended the fight earlier. But after that fight, I saw after that round, into the 3rd, 4th and 5th, I could see heavy breathing from Fergus. So I think this was a really, really good fight for him. He took a few clean shots, so it shows me that he's got a good chin as well. But Fergus was tired, make no mistake about it. He admitted as much at the end. And I know you're always going to be tired in fights, but I'm sure you can speak to this, but when you've got an opponent who just keeps coming and coming, and you're throwing absolutely everything at them, and in rounds 3, 4, and 5, he knocked him down with a spinning wheel kick and a check left hook, and he just got up, and it was as if his legs weren't even wobbly. It was just he just kept coming. But this was a good experience for Fergus Smith. He didn't take a load of damage, but if you could talk on that about the coming through a fight of that intensity, and also maybe learning a couple of lessons on the way.
Oh, that is what I wanted to speak about, because I've been in that similar position. I fought Jar Kiatpontip at the time, and he come to the UK and he beat everyone. And the first couple of rounds, I thought, this is so easy, and I was smashing him with every same thing, like not so much spin and stuff. I wasn't really like Fergus in that sense, but I was hitting him with wicked kicks, head kicks, elbows, punches, and I thought, this guy's I'm going to be the first one that stops this guy. And then I think it was at the end of round 3, he just got hold of me, and he just wouldn't let me go the whole fight really. And it was a really good fight. But I remember in round 4 or going into round 5, I was actually then behind. My arms were gone, and Fergus said it on the interview after. Like, my arms were just dead. and I was trying to win by knockout, but I just had nothing left in my arms. And I always remember thinking, right, a lesson learned for me. Obviously, I could probably have just kept picking my shots wiser, not getting too caught up in going, oh, I'm going to knock this guy out. Watching Fergus was the same sort of thing, and I was watching it going, after that first knockdown, I thought, if he just picked his shots wisely, played the game a little bit better, he probably could have put him out and or at least put him down a few times in a row, and then it maybe get the. I don't think the Cambodian was ever going to quit unless he was out cold or the referee just stopped it. I think he could have probably picked his shots a bit wiser, but like you said, I think he got so excited and thought he was going to win by KO that he punched himself out a little bit. And I think it was in round 4. He was looking like it looked like at one point it could have got not turned around as such. But
I did think the tide might be turning at one point, because I thought if Fergus definitely slowed down. Had he slowed down even more, then the tide definitely could have turned. But he just maintained that level above the Cambodian.
Yeah, and I think in round 5, obviously, he got the knockdown again.
Yeah.
So then obviously that completed it. But I think watching Fergus, what's impressive about him as well, he's got such good skill set. So if he did just pick his shots, I think he would have probably knocked him out. And what I like about Fergus as well, he switches stance. He can fight from southpaw and orthodox, but he possesses the same sort of power from both stances, which isn't really that common. People can switch stances, but he seems to actually put people out with his backhand when he's in southpaw. So yeah, I think that's the impressive thing about him. He's got so much skill, and I think you're correct. I think that would be a real good lesson for him, because in the future he'll realise that at that level, when you start stepping up, there's a lot of tough people, and they will stay for 5 rounds, and they'll be in your face no matter what. And they're so hungry that some people are willing to die in there just to win, and that's the kind of level he's up against now. So that's what I'd say. Probably a great learning fight for him. Probably the perfect learning fight for him. And again, I think it puts him on kind of the momentum to become a superstar, like we said.
I think his speed is something which, I know at those lower weight classes everyone's fast, but Fergus is fast and precise. You look full speed, and it does look a bit chaotic the way that he's swinging. But then in between the rounds, the slow-mo replays, you see how accurate he is with these punches. Whether it's to the body or the head, he's hitting the target almost every time. So I think speed plus accuracy, that's probably one of the main reasons why he is at this level.
Yeah, 100%. And actually, I was going to kind of segue into Ty Ganon fight, because it's, again, young superstar. But I wanted to actually give a special shout out, and I don't think a lot of people I haven't seen as much people talking about it, is Louis Fairhurst versus... lad's name from Ireland, Andrew. Is it Andrew?
I think we said Gioca on the broadcast.
Gioca, that's it.
If we're wrong, then correct us, please.
Yeah, so Andrew Gioca versus Louis Fairhurst. And I think, obviously, Finlay fought Louis before. And I thought that fight was a great fight. I mean, obviously, Finlay and Fergus and Louis was a great fight in the 4-ounce gloves. Louis versus Andrew was also a really good fight. And I think Louis showed how good he actually was as well. Very, very accurate. Really mature performance. Like I said, I haven't seen as many people talking about it, but I think he's a problem at that weight division as well.
Yeah. I've underlined the word movement when speaking about his performance, because that was the thing. Andrew Gioca is another guy from the Dublin Combat Academy, and we'll definitely be talking more about those guys. But they are so good from that gym. They're so well schooled. You know, they're not easy opponents to go against. And I think the fact that Louis Fairhurst knew that this was going to be absolutely no walkover. He was opening the card up on Hitman Fight League. He's going to be a good opposition. He was always moving and picking his shots well. And I think it sounds obvious, but it's movement, especially in Muay Thai, can be quite an overlooked aspect of the game. I know in boxing you speak about Usyk when he's against these bigger heavyweights. He's always conscious that he needs to constantly be moving, not be stuck in one position. And I think that's what Louis Fairhurst did well. He'd throw a shot, get out the way, and then fire again before Gioca even had the chance to throw back. And I think at times Gioca, to his credit, he looked good. He landed some good stuff, some good kicks on Fairhurst. But I really like the way that Fairhurst was moving throughout that fight. And I think, like I say, movement, that kind of movement, doing double phases with your attacks and stuff like that, I think that is a bit of an overlooked aspect of Muay Thai.
I think it's hard sometimes, like coming from like being a fighter as well, a Muay Thai fighter. It is sometimes hard to move like that because you move into the wrong direction, you take a kick, it might not be effective, the kick, but it might move you off balance because the way you're moving. So some people don't like to move like that, but he seemed to have it down pretty perfectly. Also, I think what really helped him is he controlled the kind of pace of the fight, but also the range with his jab. His jab was beautiful. And Andrew didn't stop coming for him, to be fair. And again, like you said, Dublin Combat Academy, like probably one of the best gyms at the moment in, well, obviously it's Ireland, but UK, Ireland, kind of in that kind of area. And the guys are tough, and he didn't stop coming at him. And he made it a hard fight for Louis, but I think Louis' experience really prevailed in that fight. And again, I think a special shout out to Andrew, though, because he's not really experienced at all. And he's come off he just come off a good win against Alfie Baker. And again, them guys will fight anyone, anywhere, anytime as well. So yeah, big shout out to him.
Their trainer.
Yeah, and again, we'll segue into that one then. That's Craig Coakley he's a crazy guy, man. I get on so well with him, and me and him chat quite a bit. I did not expect him and Thrasher to be fighting on the weekend though. And I was watching it. I was like, even in the fight, it was like how Coakley fought. It kind of like matched his personality a bit.
I know exactly what you mean. I was looking at him. I was thinking, this guy's like a bit of a mixture between Ty Ganon, Craig Coakley, and his own like flowy style. Look, the guy was not fight fit. You know, he got this last minute call up, stepped in. Fair play to him. The calf kicks, Andy Thrasher, I know for a fact on Sunday would have been limping because those calf kicks were just slamming in. A great fight. Look, that's, for me, this is kind of what a Legends fight should be. One guy stepping in short notice against a legend. It was entertaining.
I really wanted to touch on that, and as well, like the whole Legends side of it. Mm-hmm. We obviously spoke about some rising stars, and we'll speak about more of them in a second, but what I really loved about watching that show is obviously it's them guys are actually older than me. So Andy, Jordan, Panikos, Collie, but I was part of their generation and their era. And I feel like the times have changed a lot, and some of the fights are really good. I'm not disrespecting any fighters. I think we've got some great fighters here. I just feel like them throwback fighters that will just jump in with anyone. I don't think you get that as often anymore. And even just the way they built up the fight, even like your Panikos and Jordan, I was watching their build up to it, and even their post-fight interviews, and I was like, they're just classy. They're just good guys, and like it was actually quite nice to watch. And watching Jordan and watching Panikos, one of my old training partners, and Jordan's a really good friend of mine as well. So watching them was a bit weird actually, because I was like, don't want anyone to lose, but what I was actually kind of proud of both of them is how they kind of conducted themselves, not in the fight, being that age and being able to fight like that, incredible. And also just the way they kind of conducted themselves, their attitude. It was a proper, I think, good for the younger generation to watch that and go, that's what you should be like.
Yeah, I think there's, whether they like it or not, there is an obligation on you when you become an older person, relatively speaking, within the sport. If you're a trainer, you set the example for your fighters. And if you're a trainer who then is going in for a legend show on the biggest promotion in the UK, the way that you conduct yourself will be looked at by young fighters, fans and things like that. And I couldn't agree more. The way that Jordan and Panikos conducted themselves. I hosted the pre-fight interview between those two. And look, what do I want really when I'm conducting these interviews? I want a bit of back and forth, something a bit spicy, but it doesn't always have to be like that. And I think the fact that they were respectful, they had a bit of banter with each other, whatever, but that kind of thing can sell a fight just as well, because you respect these two people and you genuinely want to see them both perform well on the night.
Yeah, no, 100% agree. Like I said, I did like all the build up, and they were role models to me, and like I said, hopefully everyone kind of sees that. And And one thing I will say as well, like obviously I've had my fair share of injuries. My body's kind of broken down, and I'm not even their age. And I've kind of chosen to kind of take a back seat with fighting for now. I say for now because I'd never sign it out completely. But like how I feel right now. But for them to go through a camp at like what 40 years old, or not all of them are 40, but Panicos 40 years old, and come in looking like that and doing what they've done, like I really do take my hat off to them, because it's not easy. It's not easy when you're young. So I could only imagine how hard that would have been for them guys. And even Andy Thrasher, going back to that, like the calf kicks, he must have been in there going, probably part of him going, I've done this for years. What am I doing? Because I'm not going to be able to walk tomorrow. Again, I spoke to all the guys. Spoke to Thrasher, and like that attitude he's got is just like he's a legend, and that is why he is a legend.
Yeah, I think. Look, I agree with everything you're saying there. And one thing Panicos said in the pre-fight build-up, which it'd be great if you could talk on that, is saying about the void when he's not fighting. And that to me, look, when I'm looking at fight nights, when you're on the commentary side, presenter side, you always look for narratives. And I think the thing about these legends fights is that the void of not fighting and how much they miss it, it could affect them mentally. You hear about all these things in fighting. Probably for them, going through a fight camp, even at 40 years old, it probably does more good for them than not doing it and having that void that Panicos was speaking about. Because you could see, win or lose on Saturday night, it didn't really matter for either of these guys. Let's be honest. They're not going on to the next level and winning titles and looking at that as a springboard. The camp was the fight for these guys to get in shape, prove to themselves that they can still do it, fill that mental void. And I think that whether I've spoken to Liam about this in the past as well, even if you don't have a fight in 8, 10, 12 weeks time, treating your training like a fight camp, staying in that process with the rest of your gym, I think for older fighters, retired fighters, that can help fill that void. Because you can speak to this, there'll be nothing like a ring walk in front of thousands of people, getting your hand raised. But if you can try and replicate the build up to that and the feeling of that as best you can after fighting, that's one way in which you can try and keep that feeling for as long as possible.
Yeah, 100%. And like I'm probably going through that kind of void period of my life now, and it's really weird. It's like a mix of emotions, because I could fight. Like I'm still, I just turned 30, so I'm pretty young and I could fight. I've had injuries, but I could get through it. But my thing was more, I'm not really hungry to do it, and I didn't want to do something if I wasn't hungry for it. Saying that, that's where it's really confusing, because it's like I've always done it, and like it just that's the confusing part. And trying to train, like you said, trying to train and be in shape like that when you've got no, like the end goal of fighting is like it's something that you just can't really like you said, it's really hard to replicate. And like when you're training for someone else to basically beat you up, or like try not to beat you up, it's just a different feeling. So yeah, I can definitely understand when Panic said about the void. But again, me owning McGowan Muay Thai, the gym, and having a lot of young fighters coming through, I've even got like people like Tim Thomas, who is retired, but he trains all the time, like he's still fighting. It is good to be around, and it kind of motivates you, and it definitely fills the gap a tiny bit. Still never will be the same. And like you said, the ring walks, all of that stuff, that's the thing that you just think like, is there ever going to be a feeling like this ever again in my life? So
see, that's
yeah.
To me, that's human nature, because the way you expressed it then, and we'll come back to the Hitman Fight League fights very soon, but the way you expressed it then, that's just human nature. You've been a 2-time world champion. You've been that younger, hungry fighter who's never won a belt before. You've done it, and now you're questioning yourself of whether you're still hungry to do it. There's two ways you can look at that. Either you'd say, right, I'm a professional fighter, whether I feel the hunger or not, I'm just going to commit to it and do it. But there'll be that voice in the back of your head which is saying, but there's 17-year-old Ty Ganon who's living, breathing Muay Thai. He doesn't have a wife. He doesn't have kids. This is all he's doing. So there's that. That's something that like all fighters, whether it's you or someone else, like you have to make peace with that. Can you accept that you might not be as hungry as some guys, but you're still going to do it anyway? Or if not, then happily do your coaching or other things that you've got going on in your life?
So I think it's having the goal or having something to kind of keep you focused is the main thing, I'd say. And yeah, still hard to even answer that kind of question in your head sometimes. That's why I never sign the whole thing off, because people always say, "Are you fighting again?" I'm like, you know what? For now, I don't want to fight. So that's why I'm not going to, because I know if I'm not hungry for it, the level I want to be able to fight at, if I was going to, I wouldn't be able to achieve what I always wanted to with that kind of attitude. So, but again, maybe it will come back. Maybe a little break might. You never know. But I'm happy with the coaching as well. I think that's, again, I'm kind of leaving a legacy, I suppose, with the gym and building the next generation. The same like people like Collie. Like, people probably know Collie really through, not from his fight career. Like I didn't know Collie through his fight career. I know him as a really, really good coach who's building a really, really good team of fighters. Same as people like Kev Harper. Like, I knew Kev Harper as a fighter, but when you talk to me about Kev Harper now, and this is no disrespect to him, like, I love Kev, but I think what an amazing trainer. Like, I don't go to his fight career, if that makes sense. So all of these guys are kind of building their own legacies away from fighting as well. So I think having a goal and kind of being a part of it definitely still helps.
Mm-hmm. No, I agree.
But we'll move. Sorry, that we segued off, but that was good. But we'll move back onto Hitman Fight League. There's a couple more fights that I wanted to touch on. Well, I think there was one more fight. It was Ty Ganon and Finlay Smith, and for me, I'd say that was probably the one I was really looking forward to watching the most, because obviously a bit of needle in the build up. I've actually cornered against both lads, like with one of my guys, Liam Cunningham. I always kind of keep tabs on them guys and kind of see how they're getting on and whatnot. And like I said, I really like Ty Ganon and his team as well. I love Bad Company as well, but Ty Ganon, and I speak to Collie quite a bit. And I just thought, again, Ty was at his 13th win in a row now. No losses.
So, 12 or 13, yeah, that'll be it.
12 or 13. And it's, like I said, I've cornered against him, and it's weird. You watch him and you're like, he doesn't look like he's hitting hard, but he just, again, so accurate, doesn't stop. He annoys people, teep the leg, teep the body, jab, calf kick, then that left kick to the body, then the knee. I think he fights southpaw style perfectly. He don't waste no shots. He's not like he doesn't overcommit to anything, but I think that's why he's so effective. I've seen a few people online saying that it was a really close fight. Honestly, like, my honest opinion, I don't think he lost a round in that fight. Mm-hmm. I think maybe early rounds could have been that. I think maybe round 1 or 2, I think you could have given it a draw, but I just think he dictated the range of the fight, the pace of the fight, and then he had the most effective shots in the fight as well. And I was really, really impressed with his performance, to be honest. I don't know how you seen the fight. How did you kind of see the fight in terms of scoring?
Yeah, so I think probably Ty Ganon, he definitely won the last 3 rounds. The first 2 were close, but I'd probably still edge them to Ty. Again, when you're commentating, you're not necessarily scoring it at the same time. So I'd need to watch that one back. But I'm with you. My main takeaway is that Ty Ganon is a bloody very good Muay Thai fighter. He's really annoying. He'd be such an annoying fighter to fight against, because especially someone like Finlay Smith, who's got such solid fundamentals. He's powerful. You know, he's solid. He just stands there and he picks off his shots. Ty Ganon just never let him get comfortable. And it was that left kick, teep to the leg, the teep to the body, the left kick to off-balance him. Finlay Smith could never, especially after the first round, he just couldn't get settled and fight his own fight. The fight was fought on Ty Ganon's terms. And, you know, that was purely dictated by Ty Ganon. I think I can't believe he's 17 years old. I mentioned that at the end. I'm like, are you really 17? And he confirmed that he was. But he's just, you said it, the left kick. And if you can talk on that a bit, because what's it like when you're trying to move forward, get into range, and you've got that teep to the leg, stabbing teep to the body, even that, you know, that teep where you kind of, your foot's at a bit of an angle and you stab your toes in from the side. It was constant.
You know what? So if I'm honest, I was my style that was like that a little bit.
Exactly.
Not as probably not even as much. Like he is really constant, but I
busy.
like to teep the leg. Yeah, teep the leg, teep the body, inside low kick, and sometimes not score with it. But it's just I always remember actually speaking to Nongo like when I was younger, and he said about confusing your opponent. You don't always have to try and hurt them. The big shot will come, but annoy them with teeps the legs, inside low kick, maybe teep the body a bit. We'll tap the guard, jab the guard a little bit. Just keep them thinking constantly. Whilst he was doing all that, he was pushing forward the whole time. He had Finlay on the back foot. Finlay didn't really... At times, it looked like Finlay really... He knew what he wanted to throw, but it's like he couldn't get his feet going. His feet were just under... He was just getting moved back constantly, I thought. And I think he couldn't set his feet to really throw any powerful shots. I think he landed a couple of maybe big punches. I think he popped Tig's nose. But other than that, I don't think he landed too many big shots. And I think it's just because Tig just had him confused the whole time. And then obviously, I think also he really worked on the body shots a lot in the fight, Tig. So I think, again, round 1 and 2, it doesn't seem like a lot. And it's just constant to his body. Also his left knee to the body. Like it was constant, stabbing him in the body. And then you obviously in the later rounds, Finlay started kind of like his body started crumbling to the knees and stuff like that. I think even before he got dropped in round 5, I think there was a point where he got kneed a couple of times. His head went down, and I thought he was about to go down. And he actually, to be fair to him, fair play, he stayed up because he took some big knees in that. It's a really impressive win because Finlay's a great fighter, and like you said, solid fundamentals. Really again, Finlay's super experienced. Not as a professional as much, but he's had hundreds of amateur fights, and that doesn't just go to waste. You know, like that does help a lot with that kind of ring craft and stuff like that. And for someone like Ty, who's had 12 or 13 fights, to basically outskill someone like Finlay like that, that's a huge statement win, I think, for him. And he called out Alfie Pearce on the mic, and I think he's not far away from them. He's in them kind of conversations now, I'd say.
Yeah, definitely. Look, Finlay Smith, he was leaning over the ropes at the end, really frustrated with himself, which you can understand because he clearly had a game plan that he wanted to implement in this fight. That much was obvious. But Ty Ganon's game plan was the better game plan on the day. I don't think you can argue with that. Finlay Smith will come again. He's such a good fighter. These two fighters could fight years down the line for more belts and things like that. So I don't want Finlay to be too disheartened by this performance. I know that of course he will be, because it was a big fight. There was a big build up to it. But these two are very, very, very talented fighters, and credit to both of them for taking this fight, because we shouldn't be saying that because they should take it anyway. But in a world where a lot of fighters wouldn't take these kind of fights, credit to them. But I do not know where Ty Ganon's ceiling is as of the end of that fight. He's a 17-year-old who just put on a performance like that, which if he was 27 doing that kind of thing, you'd understand how mature that performance was. But he just doesn't get sloppy with anything. I think that was one thing that really impressed me. Everything's really measured, and even when he was landing left knees that were clearly hurting Finlay, he didn't go wild and try and look for a finish, because Finlay's got a lot of power. He could easily stop him in his tracks there. Again, I think that you have to look at the top down, so coming from Collie, coming from Craig, their kind of advice, but it's just methodically picking you apart, knocking you off your rhythm, left kick, left teep, sticking to your game plan. And even if most of his fights may go to decision, it's entertaining. It's still entertaining because you're watching someone technically delivering a masterclass. And I'm always worried about recency bias and making out as though the last performance is the best thing you've ever seen. But looking back at that fight, he didn't really put a foot wrong. And for a 17-year-old fighter in his 13th professional fight, that's a bit of an insane thing to say.
Yeah, it was impressive. Like I said, he didn't put a foot wrong. And actually going back to Finlay's brother Fergus's fight, where we were saying hurt the Cambodian, rushed in, it was the complete opposite with Ty. Ty picked his shots well, didn't rush in, was like, if it has to go to points, it will. If I catch him again, he goes down, I don't mind. It's like either outcome, he doesn't mind. very disciplined performance. Like you said, it does start from the top down because you've got people like Craig Coakley, Craig Coakley, and again, Craig Coakley showing on the weekend why. Yeah, you know what? I was just thinking, have we missed anyone? We missed Craig, one of the most exciting ones out of them all as well. And yeah, Craig again, legend in Muay Thai around these kind of shores or whatever. And he's been in huge fights over the years. I think, I don't know if we already said this or not, but them guys will fight anyone, and they really and everyone knows that, and that's why I've got so much respect for them guys. And Craig Coakley fought a tough Cambodian, and in round one it looked like it wasn't going to be his night at one point because he got cut and then he got rocked bad with a left hook, and I thought, and did Craig just come off a loss?
Anthony Deary.
And Deary, that was his last fight, wasn't it? And I thought, and obviously Craig's been in some big fights, and you sometimes do think, is it like that father time? Is it hitting him? Is he still at that level? Like I know his skills are, but people hit that age and they're like they've been knocked out or they've been stopped or whatever, and it's harder to get back from. So when he got cut and then got rocked, I was like, oh no, and then got through it. Again, them Irish guys, man, they're tough. They'll get through it. And then, but I thought the Cambodian, even from the offset, like before the cut, I felt like he looked strong.
Yeah,
he was hitting hard. He looked like he was hitting hard. He pushed Craig back a bit sometimes, and I thought, this is going to be a hard night. These Cambodians are also tough as well. And then the switch up in round two, like it was like a man possessed. Craig's going forward, and it was like he said it in his interview. Like he was proving to himself that he's still the guy. And the body shot was perfect, like absolutely perfect. Again, really happy to see him get that victory and kind of go through the adversity and win that fight. But yeah, again, being ringside, the amount of blood that was on that canvas was definitely not white anymore. And yeah, I was going to say, was it all over you?
Yeah, my jacket has to go to the dry cleaners this week.
Yeah, you should invoice Simon Jason that for that one. Yeah, so how was it being ringside? Because again, atmosphere looked banging, and obviously again, when it's an exciting fight like that, it gets the crowd going.
Yeah, absolutely. So for this fight, Craig Coakley, Munmeka. Now, as a commentator, I will always be impartial, no matter how close to a fighter I am or anything like that. You always have to be impartial. But Craig Coakley is one of these guys who, over the years, I've just spoken to, and I think he's a great human being, a family man, a great fighter as well. He's been in so many great fights. But I had the same concerns as you. I thought, right, coming off a loss to Anthony Deary, coming in against this Cambodian, bearing in mind that Fergus Smith fight hadn't happened yet, so we didn't really know what we were getting with Munmeka, what kind of fighter he was going to be. But as soon as that first bell rang, we knew exactly what the kind of fighter he was. The first bell rang exactly as he said it. Craig on the back foot, this guy swinging for the hilltops, and it looked as though it could have been an early night. Craig was able to deal with the early pressure, both of them landing some good shots. And then about halfway through the first round, Craig's guard was open. He was there to receive an elbow, and Munmeka delivered it. Horrible elbow, massive cut on Coakley's face. But as he was reacting to that elbow, the guard was open again for that left hook. And Craig was badly wobbled by that shot. And I thought, right, this is it. Could this be the end? Coming off a bad loss against Anthony Deary, who's a fantastic fighter, but if Craig wants to be at that level, this isn't a great streak for him. I've no idea how he got to the end of that first round. Like the blood, everything, the shots that he was taking, but he managed to get there. And in that, in the break between the two rounds, you could see all credit to the cut man working on that, because, geez, like there's a lot of times in which a cut man would not be able to stop the blood from that, but he did. And Craig came out for the second round. And at this point, I'm just watching, thinking, okay, so he's had a bit of time to recover. Has he had enough? That's the question that I was wondering. He came out and straight away, Cambodian, 1-2, left hook. Craig's on skates again, moving backwards. I thought, this is terrible. All these Irish fans have come over. I could see like the tricolours flags to my right. This Cambodian just turned up, picking up his check, knocking out Craig Coakley, and then flying home like job done. And then everything changed. Craig started to move forward and he was using a bit more of the clinch. This Cambodian, he was springy. He liked to explode him with shots. Craig just closed the distance on him really well. It was very intelligent. Got him against the ropes, swept him. And this is the moment that will stay with me forever. They were both on the ground and I saw Craig's head was on the canvas and he was looking at me. And because he was upside down in this position, I could just see the blood literally pouring out of his face. Complete mask of blood. Part of me was thinking, this sport is just fucking mental. The other part was like, this guy's not done. You know, you can see it in fighters' eyes where like they're not really with it. But Craig was like laser focused. We looked at each other in the eyes. He might not remember because he'll be in the throes of battle. But we made eye contact. I was like, this guy is not done. For whatever reason, I just thought he's not done. Literally in the next few seconds, they both stood up by the referee. The Cambodian doesn't want to get involved in the clinch. He comes rushing in. And that body shot, honestly, I had headphones on and everything. I could hear that around the arena, literally echoing around. And the noise from the Irish fans, not just the Irish fans, all the fans who were so invested in that fight was just ridiculous. The whole place was shaking. Everyone was on their feet. A ridiculous moment. And the amount of DMs I've received since then saying, what they're saying, his back was against the wall, shot out of nowhere. Because that's what I said on the commentary immediately afterwards. I don't remember anything that I said in the commentary of that fight because I was stood up. I was stood up going crazy. Couldn't believe what I'd seen. But yeah, I've received a lot of messages, nice messages about the commentary from that fight specifically, because I think everyone went on a bit of a journey in that fight, right? You think, okay, we're seeing the end. We're seeing a fighter's career probably coming to an end right now, getting badly beaten by a relatively unknown quantity here on the home show. You know, he's a signed Hitman fighter and stuff like that. But then for that comeback, just to completely flip the script, win in such a dramatic fashion, I've never seen anything like it, and I don't think we will for a long time.
Yeah, it was perfect ending. And again, obviously, he wasn't at home, but he was the home fighter for that fight in particular. And what a perfect way to end the fight. And especially, you know what, them fights, obviously, it's not nice being cut and stuff like that. And I suppose saying that, like, when I've been cut in the past, like, it's when you're in it, it doesn't really matter. But like, it's never nice. You like could have picked an easier way to like make a living or whatever. But like when you get through that and you kind of you do your job, it's an unreal feeling. And it's again when you see the kind of reaction from the crowd and Coley jumping in the ring, it's just like that is the kind of fairy tale moments. And we grow up kind of watching, like we were talking about boxing. There's so many of the moments. I remember watching like Ricky Hatton when he fought Costa Tszyu and things like that, and then, like him and is it Billy Graham? They were like rolling on the floor. You know them kind of moments, and that makes it special. So yeah, I was so happy to see Craig get through that, and again show that there's still life in him, and he's still at that level to kind of fight. So yeah, buzzing for him.
You might not be saying that if it wasn't for one punch, which is the crazy thing. One punch has made the difference between possibly him not calling it a day, but maybe accepting that he needs to take relatively easier fights until he gets a big opportunity. But because of one brilliantly timed punch, that's all gone. That'll give him so much confidence heading into the next bout that, okay, even if I get hurt, I've still got it.
I think we go back to the hunger conversation though, and to get through a moment like that, obviously you've got to be majorly hungry for it. And I think pulling a shot like that out of the bag, yeah, like obviously it's that shot made the difference. So we had a few technical difficulties there with at the ending part with Alex there, but we kind of covered a lot of Hitman Fight League and a lot of the fights and the drama that unfolded, and it just shows again, we've been speaking about it a lot lately, the level of UK Muay Thai and the production of the shows and stuff like that. And I think there's some great shows in the UK, but when you watch Hitman Fight League on the weekend, especially their show in Manchester, that venue that they they do their shows in such a great venue. The venue only looks good though when it's packed, and they've obviously both times I've used it, they've packed it out. So yeah, kudos to them guys, Simon, Ricky, Liam, and Andy. Great show, always great matches, always drama. And I know there was like the Cambodians and stuff like that in there, but the likes of like your Finlay Smiths and Ty Ganon, Panicos, Jordan, like obviously all domestic kind of matchups. I think that the UK really needs that to keep building the sport in the right way. Instead of always just fighting international fights against someone that you don't really know, it's hard to really build them fights. So I think it would be great to keep seeing some of them big UK fights, and UK or Ireland, them fights. And yeah, and again, I think Hitman Fight League, after a show like that, they're kind of the benchmark of promotions. And I know we spoke about the other week about promotions and who's the best in the UK and whatnot. I think in terms of the production level of the shows, I still think Hitman Fight League is probably up there with probably one of the best in the UK now. So yeah, quality show. And I want to move on quickly to another fight that happened on another massive production on the same day, and that is Jake Newman. So Jake Newman again he's on a crazy run at the moment. And I honestly think his fight style and the way how effective he is and stuff like that, I think he's going to be a problem in the world, to be honest. And I think he's got a huge future ahead of him. Exciting to watch, can be clever in there as well. Can kick, punch, elbow. He can knee. So he's got all the weapons, and he's got a great team behind him. I know he trains a lot with Stuart Stabler, and Stuart's a great fighter in his own right. But also Peel Thai boxing. The guys down there have produced some great fighters like Louis Fairhurst, Stuart Stabler, Jake Newman obviously trains down there. So they've got a great stable, and I think they always look pretty dangerous. They always look really slick with their boxing, and they move really well. And I was really impressed with Jake. I did think, again, me and Alex talked about kind of Fergus sometimes going crazy, and sometimes some of these guys, they're obviously still young, they get excited, and I think Jake did kind of smother his work at times in there, and I've definitely seen him fight probably a little bit more calculated, but again, not every fight is the same, and the opponent's style is different, so sometimes you get dragged into them fights, and we've all been there. So he just showed another part of his game that when it gets a bit messy, sometimes he can still come out on top, and I think that's what I was really impressed with him on that as well. So yeah, really looking forward to his future and his career. There's some big fights out there for him, and I think if he's going down the RWS route, I think he's going to smash it. So yeah, good luck to him. And also we had Tom Keogh fight on One Championship. I think that was on a Friday, and Jacob Thompson. And so Tom Keogh, again, another Irish fighter that's on a massive roll of wins at the moment, and second fight on One Championship or One Friday fights, and second win. And this one was really quick, calf kick KO. And I've seen a lot of them guys talking about calf kicks online, and they say they can't be blocked. So Collie reckons they can, but I don't know, man. Tom's kind of proven that they're hard to be blocked. So yeah, again, I love the Irish fighters. I just feel like they all fight whoever. Irish in general, is a close place in my heart because I've got like Irish descent in my family and whatnot. So I always really like backing the Irish fighters, but they're all of them are just fighting men. They will fight whoever, whenever, wherever, and they'll always put on a good show. They'll always give it their all, and I think that's what all of these Irish fighters are doing at the moment. And again, Tom Keogh, again, on a mad run. Great future ahead of him. And again, I see him calling for fights like Nico Carrillo and stuff like that in the future. And again, it's not a million miles away from him now. If he carries on kind of going on them runs, he's beat Nathan Benden, won twice on One Friday fights. He's on route to kind of getting them big fight nights. So yeah, looking forward again to his future, and it's really exciting times for Irish Muay Thai. And then you had the same card, you had Jacob Thompson fighting. Yeah, real good friend of mine actually. I really like Jacob, good lads. And again, another one of them fighters who will fight whoever and always be in a tough fight. I do think he lost on Friday, but I feel like I've trained with Jacob and his kicks are really nice. He's got real nice kicks. He actually had a really, really good Thai style. Obviously then you put the 4-ounce gloves on and things have to change. And I don't know if he's just going a bit too punch happy sometimes in his fights. I feel like what he showed last week like wasn't the person that I've trained with. I know that he's a lot better, and I think he would admit it as well. But that's only positive because he still put up a good fight, and you know he's only young. He'll be back, but I would just like to see him kind of go back slightly to his old style where he kicks a little bit more of a like controlled kind of pace, not rushing in too much. Because I think sometimes he was rushing in and he was getting caught on the way in, and I think both of them. I think, to be honest, I think the opponent was. It was hard for him as well because the opponent was kind of unorthodox too. So I think like at times it got a little bit sloppy and both of them were missing. But like I think if Jacob just calmed down and that fights how he has fought in the past, he would have won that fight, definitely hands down. But again, it's Muay Thai and he's young and you're going to lose fights. It doesn't really matter. I think he'll be back, and I know he's putting in a lot of work. He's at Sasi Papar Gym at the moment. He'll be putting in the work and he'll put that right. So looking forward to seeing him come back and get back to winning ways. But yeah, like I said, sorry about the technical difficulties with Alex, but it was a great catch up with him, and he's really involved in the kind of scene at the moment in combat sports in general. So it was great to get his take and his kind of like ringside take on Hitman Fight League and how dramatic it actually was. So yeah, thanks for listening, guys. As always, like, subscribe, keep commenting, keep supporting, and we're going to keep getting these podcasts out. Thank you.